Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another really interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the new ZT0707 with the TDS or True Detent System. This is an in-house design, very interesting, can't wait to talk about it. This knife was sent to me by @Hoosier_in_TX. At Hoosier_in_TX_EDC on Instagram. Please give him a follow. It's because of people like him that I'm able to bring you guys daily knife content. It's also because of my generous patrons. So thank you so much to my generous patrons. If you'd like to get your hands on some of these cool stickers and some other benefits, there is of course a link down in the description. Your support would mean the world to me. And make sure to follow me on Instagram. All right, so let's go ahead and get a measurement on this guy. Overall length, not a small knife. Very thin knife, but not a small knife. It's coming in at about 8 1/8 by my measurement. Blade length is coming in, we're going to call that 3 1/2, and cutting edge is actually a little bit over 3 1/2. I mean, it's weird because there's the tip of the scale, right? It's longer. You could call the entire blade length and cutting edge 3.6 inches. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1's coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 is coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue is coming in at 8 inches overall. Let's do an extra one here. I've got a Benchmade 9400 Auto, which is, I believe, exactly the same size as the 940. And people every now and then will, have asked about, how does it compare to the 940? So there's a good look right there if you own a 940. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Spyderco Para 3 is coming in at 7 1/4 inches overall. How's the action of this guy? So this knife has this TDS system. Where's that godforsaken flashlight? There it is. So can we see in here? There's a detent ball on both sides. And when I unboxed this, I was like, sometimes I don't like slender knives that have exposed frame locks because it's really hard to keep your fingers off of the lock bar. And I had like everybody, and by the way, this is not done from the factory. The anodizing, I'm sure people are wondering about that. That was not done at the factory. I am going to leave links for this knife down in the description so you can check it out for yourself. At standard, it does have the standard tumbled finish on the titanium. But anyways, I was talking about how I don't like exposed frame locks on really skinny knives because if you put too much pressure there, it's hard to deploy. Well, that double detent system, or that TDS, there's another detent ball contacting the blade face on the other side, and that allows that to not happen. And yeah, it works. In fact, I will put my fingers on the lock bar. Yeah, no problem. That works really well. That's actually kind of cool. Apparently, they're not the first ones to do that, but it is something that's welcome. It allows them, some added versatility when it comes to designs. And, that's pretty impressive. ZT in-house designs have not previously impressed me very much, but I think that's kind of neat. Anyways, let's go ahead and by the way, it's very smooth, very clicky. I mean, this is typical ZT otherwise. There is a tad bit of a double clutch. In fact, there is a double clutch. By the time that this thing is past the detent ball, you're just barely able to have that thing contacting your thumb. You'll get used to it. It's something to be aware of, right? I mean, I generally like to keep my thumb about right here. So while we don't have an obtrusive flipper tab, it does create for a little bit of an awkward experience while you're disengaging the knife. Not that big of a deal. Let's talk about carry profile. So thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. You can see there, this is not a thick knife at all. So that's pretty great. Very slender profile. How about up against two knives that are a little bit tall in the pocket, the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3. You can see there, it's a little bit shorter than the Para 3, a little longer than the, a little bit longer than the Para 3, a little shorter than PM2, nowhere near as tall. This is simply not a cumbersome object at all in the pocket. Let's go ahead and do blade stock thickness. So blade stock thickness on this guy, I'm gonna guess it's about 120 thousandths, maybe less. 120 thousandths on the money. Man, I'm good. I totally could have looked that up beforehand, and maybe I'm just trying to sound cool, but no, I really did guess. On the inside here, we have carbon fiber. Solid carbon fiber on one side and titanium in the other. There's a steel plate in there that's kind of helping house that bearing or that detent ball in the bearing system, right, or place for the bearings to run. But there's just not a lot of material here for the amount of knife that you're getting, which is great. It's going to make a lot of people happy. 2.36 ounces. That is not a lot of weight. But the bug out weighs 1 point. I don't care. 2.36 ounces is 2.36 ounces. This is not a cumbersome object, no matter which way you slice it. Oh, that was a terrible joke. But yeah, whether you're wearing athletic shorts, you're wearing skinny jeans, you're wearing khakis, you're wearing jeans, whatever, this knife's going to be just fine. The only problem some people are going to have is that the blade length is not going to be legal for everybody. But you do get an enormous amount of blade and cutting edge for how much weight is there. That just shatters a lot of systems that people go by to determine whether or not it's worth carrying. So yeah, there you go. Hardware check. Let me go ahead and get out my tools here. You can check out my tools down at the bottom of the description. They are recommendable and not expensive. I'm gonna guess, like most knives nowadays, it's gonna be T8 on the pivot and T6 on the body. Let's check that real quick. Yes, T8 and then T6 everywhere else. That's totally fine. I don't like T6. I've said that a million times. Just be careful when you are disassembling it, because they can strip. All right, let's talk about the anatomy here. Oh no, it has that hole. We should all complain about that, right? I don't know what people's deal is with that hole. The 0308, people were like, yeah, it's good, but it's got that big hole in there, and gunk can get in there, and it can... I guess. I don't know why people complain about that. Honestly, I think it's fine. I think it's neat. Plenty of other designs out there have holes in the handle or holes in the pivot, like Strider knives, and we just never see nearly as many complaints about it. So I think people are prone to complaining about zero tolerance. Think what you want to think. If you want to know my opinion, I kind of like it aesthetically. I don't care that it's there. I don't think that, outside of the most extreme situations, that hole could basically be a way for gunk to get in there and cause the knife not to work. That just sounds ridiculous to me. I have a friend who's got a ZT that is caked. It has been caked since he bought it years ago. He never, ever, ever cleans it. My buddy Rob and his ZT 0562 was one of the very first knives that I showed on my channel, 2.5 years ago. And yeah, it's fine. So it's not really an issue for me. But everybody's experience is different. Carbon fiber looks great on this guy. We've got some nice chamfering all the way around. This is typical ZT carbon fiber, and they do it really, really well. I have no issues with that. Love the pivot. It's got its own pivot system. Really, really cool. This knife really looks Sinkovich to me. That's honestly what I thought. I was like, that's another ZT Sinkovich. No, it's an in-house design. Slender knives are not usually my cup of tea. I like a bigger, wider blade. I don't like more of the pokey, stabby knives. But, in a utility setting, or in terms of utility, yeah, the puncture tests with this knife are going to be great. It does get super thin down at the edge, so you're still going to be able to do all that slicing stuff. But I think for a lot of people, it's just going to be the aesthetic that draws you in. As far as ergonomics go, man, you have plenty of handle room. For such a small knife, I really do feel securely locked in. There's some nice jimping back there. I like this. It's comfortable. Absolutely. There's no, excess pointiness or sharpness. Back here, they have this area that's kind of cleaved off, and I don't know, is that suggesting that yeah, it actually looks like there's a place for the pocket clip on the other side. Is there a slot? Sorry. I'm trying to get it to focus and the light to... Yeah, there is. So the pocket clip, it looks like, can be mounted on the other side. That's the reason for that slot there. I didn't look at that before I started the review. But yeah, that's nice. So anyways, the flipper tab, not obtrusive at all. Super easy to engage with. No issues. It's been nicely knocked down. The jimping's in the right spot. They've got a little cutout to add some flair on the flipper tab. I like it. No issues there. ZT logo on the blade. Nice tumbled finish. Little swedge up top. Flat doesn't carry out, I guess, it's up here, it's like fully flat ground, right? But it carries out maximum the maximum thickness is carried out to about here, I guess. Not a lot of room to drop down to the cutting edge, but it does get reasonably thin. So this is going to be a pretty slicey blade. On the other side, we have the Kai USA, not really a paragraph, I don't know. I guess, is this their logo for the in-house design? Interesting. Okay, I didn't really take a look at that. I hate that they put the serial number on there, right? Everything else is, I think it's okay. The blade is very handsome. It's got a nice, really nice, honestly, this edge feels better than other ZTs that I have handled in the past. The tip has nothing in the way of durability. It almost doesn't matter what the blade steel is on this. That is simply not going to be a durable tip. So don't jam it into wood and then try to pry. That's not something you should be doing with this anyway. Be cognizant of the tip. It is very needle-like, but it's going to be beneficial for people who need to do tasks that require the blade is buried into whatever it is that you're doing with your knife, right? CBM 20CV, excellent steel. It's the same thing as M390 minus a little bit of silicone. But yeah, excellent. Excellent edge retention. It's going to have excellent corrosion resistance. Not tough. It might be a little bit of a nightmare to sharpen for some people, and it can be chippy in some situations. But if you're using this as a knife, right, and not as a hard use tool, which is not what it's designed to be, you should be just fine. Let's go ahead and close this up here real quick. Really emphasis on that area right here. This is going to be a little bit problematic. The transition between closing or disengaging the lock bar and closing is going to be somewhat problematic, but it is something that you can adapt to. Access to the lock bar is fantastic. There's plenty of room. It's very comfortable. You can flip this over and over again and not wear your fingers out, so that's nice. Pocket clip, by the way, sandwich construction. Check this out. Standoffs are nice. There's little gaps on the outsides of the standoffs, and that's done intentionally. It kind of makes them appear like they're floating. I like that. It's a nice little touch. Easy to clean out with that pillar construction. The pocket clip is just excellent. Has the swoop. It's not a big pocket clip. It's unique to the ZT. It looks good. I like the clip. I really do. Literally, when you're carrying this thing, the only thing that you're going to be able to see outside of the pants is the pocket. It literally looks like you might have a pen in your pocket, right? Not that that should be necessarily that the main point should be to hide it, right? I'm just saying it doesn't have this huge butt end hanging out of your pocket. And I like that. It's nice, right? The milling on this side looks great. I love milling on titanium. It just adds a nice flair to what would otherwise just be a flat titanium surface. Hang on a sec. I gotta check those screws, guys. I gotta check them. We're gonna do that real quick. I feel like those are T6, but I gotta check it. Okay. Let's check this one back here. Yeah, they're T6. Okay, sorry. I thought that might be T8. I was looking at it zoomed up in the camera. Anyways, yeah. So this does have a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop, and that's great. The knife came perfectly centered, and the lockup is somewhere around 40%. Is it solid? Absolutely solid. Enormous amount of shouldering back there. You can see how that wraps around that stop. It just wraps all the way around it. That's nice for, you know, essentially mitigating wear over time. It's great. So, little things that I can complain about here. It's not my cup of tea in terms of the aesthetics. I don't like really long, pokey, slender blades, but some people really do. And because of this profile and the materials that they chose and the thickness and everything like that, the dimensions, this is super ultra lightweight. And the main benefit here is that you get a crazy amount of cutting edge, right? That's what the 940 was famous for. You get an insane amount of cutting edge for how much knife you're actually carrying, and it's easy to carry. The double detent thing is great. You can put pressure on that lock bar, right? You can enjoy a nice slender exposed titanium frame lock knife without having to worry about exactly where your hands are when you're on it. That's fantastic. I don't care about the hole. That's not something that I consider a flaw or a downside. It's got T6 screws, right? The knife feels so light to me that all lightweight knives feel a little bit cheap to me, honestly, but some people really, really like that. What else? I mean, what else can I honestly complain about here? The ergonomics are good, right? This is a cool knife. I mean, this, honestly, I think this is pretty good. It's nice to say something good about ZT because I used to really, really love ZT, and I just haven't loved a lot of knives that they've come out with. While this isn't my aesthetic cup of tea, it is very, very well done. And they want, what do they want for this? $240 to $250? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, like everybody else, you know, oftentimes when I'm kind of hovering around saying something good or bad about the price, it's like, well, it'd be nice if it was 20 bucks less. Everything would be nice if it was 20 bucks less. Everything would be nice if it was $100 less. Or free, but it's not. It is what it is. And these are US made. They are competing with other amazing Chinese companies that are coming out with, you know, carbon fiber and titanium and 20 CV running on bearings right around the same price range, right? So that's nice that they are able to do this and they're able to make their knives in the USA. Yeah, you know what, guys? I can recommend this knife. In fact, I think that most people will be really, really happy with this, especially people who like lightweight knives. I don't like that little double clutch area. I would have really been happy if that had not been the case, if I just could get a little bit. The detent ball wants to, see there it's hitting the underneath the blade, and right here it's right up on top of the blade. So there's just a little tiny bit of room. You have to get used to getting your finger in exactly the right spot. It's the only little hang up, and it really only matters for people who like to sit around and fidget with their knives. But yeah, this is recommendable. So anyways, I'm going to provide links for this knife down in the description where you can check this out for yourself. It's going to go on my most recommended knives playlist, and it's also going to go on my ZT knives playlist. So if you like ZT knives, check out that playlist. I reviewed a lot of stuff from ZT. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.